But that is all going to be determined if Ohio State can get their last games in. They've already had two canceled. Michigan is their last game scheduled, and they have paused football activities. Ohio State is playing without their head coach, Ryan Day. You've got that going on. Meanwhile, Tom Allen was on Mike Krzyzewski yesterday. That's a pretty cool thing for him to but he's been recognized by everybody. Coaches across the country are recognizing what Tom Allen is doing. Forget about everybody else. Of course, everyone else can see that, but other coaches are seeing what Tom Allen is doing. And I'm talking about other high-profile championship-level coaches. Mike Krzyzewski is, he's the dean of the coaches in college basketball. He won 4 national championships? Been to 16,000 Final Fours. That's the epitome of high end, and what a compliment that is to have for Tom Allen. It's awesome. As Verdell joins us now. Verdell, how you doing, man?
Good. Sorry I'm late, guys.
Oh no, it's no problem. It's just talking about Tom Allen was just on Mike Krzyzewski's show and how cool it is that other coaches are seeing what Tom Allen is doing. And that's the biggest compliment in the world, to have your peers recognize you like that.
Definitely, man. Definitely. To come from someone like Coach K, to say that he wish he could play for Coach Allen. That says everything you need to know right there, man. And Coach Allen is doing a great job, this year. And I think that he's going to really rally the troops for this weekend too.
Absolutely. And before I forget, because man, Verdell snuck one in on us. He was out of town last week, and so we haven't been able to talk to him. And AJ cannot wait to talk to you either. Between the last time we've spoken, we found out Verdell Jones is running for mayor. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
We've got Kirk Haston, who is going to be the next governor of Tennessee. So I guess I'm going to start calling you the next governor of Illinois.
Man, I appreciate it. It was, it was something that we were going to wait to do for another 4 years. I just got married, just moved to a house. I wanted to enjoy a little bit of that kind of peace and quiet, so to say, before things got hectic. But it's being around this community and dealing with young people. We might not have 4 more years to waste. It's just, the direction our youth is going, especially after living in places like Japan and France, where those are, rival developing nations, and just to see how we take education here and to see the progress and the kind of the direction our youth is going, man, it's something drastic had to happen right away. And so it kind of jump started what we're trying to do. We'll see what happens. Even if we don't get elected this year, we want the voice of the youth to be heard. And whatever side of the aisle you're on, that's something that we can all agree on, that our youth, is the future of America, and we got to make some change.
Absolutely. And Verdell, for you to step into that doesn't surprise me. For since you've joined us, I found out how much you really care about your community, the kids, the work that you're already doing. So it's not surprising. In that regard, it was surprising when we found out. Other than that, but it's very, very cool. I can't wait to get you hooked up with Kirk Haston. Kirk is seriously. Have you talked to Kirk much?
When I was at IU, he'd come and visit. We would talk every now and then. But I haven't had a chance to talk to him since I left.
He's a veteran now, a veteran politician. He's like in his second or third year as a representative down there in Tennessee.
I'm going to take some notes from him. I'll reach out, take some notes, and learn some of the tricks of the trade, so to say.
But his is kind of, I think, the same kind of a deal, because he's a teacher. His background, his parents, his mother was a teacher, I think. I can't remember for sure, but he's a teacher. He's the kids. He's a coach. It's the same deal, and it's just awesome to see you guys doing that. And that's what it takes for us to continue to get better as a society. They're not going to get better on their own. It just doesn't happen by osmosis.
It doesn't, man. It doesn't. That's one of the frustrating things of my community right now, is that you know, the violence in the area is increasing. You know, there's shootings, there's break-ins, all these things. And while in one hand, you know, these kids and their parents are to be blamed, a community, we're part of the problem as well, because there's no resources, there's no outlets, there's nothing for these children to do. And I think you really get to see the kind of the detriment that it's having on our community during COVID. You know, once COVID hit and there was no school, now you have no school for the kids to go to, as well as no outlets, no after school activities, nothing. So they're just at home being products of their environment. And right now the environment that they're in isn't good. And, you know, we want to help change that. We wanted to help, you know, just create some kind of opportunity and resources for the community. You know, our motto is, you know, don't ask for change, be the change. And so, you know, I kind of have a platform because of the sports I played and some of my successes through that. So I just wanted to use that platform to help give a voice to the youth.
And it's incredible. Like I said, it's just, you cannot be complimented enough for it, but it's a lot of hard work too. If you were to get that, I mean, it's a serious thing. And I hope people understand that it is that you're completely serious, but it's a serious job too. It's a serious undertaking when you have your community looking up to you in any way, much less a way that this is kind of like the ultimate leader in a community. So just incredible to take that up, to take that chance. Verdell you should be complimented for that, because not a lot of people do that. That's unfortunate. Not enough people do what you're doing. And because if we did, we'd have to be pushing people out of the way for doing too many good stuff. And that's not the problem. We don't have that problem. So again, it's awesome. We saw the charges were filed in the Chris Beatty case, a former football player for Indiana who was sadly killed this summer. But charges in that case, but it kind of goes to what you're thinking about. I mean, we're talking about him. He was the same type of guy. He was always active in the community and giving back. And but hopefully that kind of stuff can be stopped with the things that you're doing.
Yeah, that's the only hope. You know, I was telling the paper the other day, I'm not here to make a publicity stunt. I'm not here for fame and attention. I've had the fame, I've had the attention, and it's all overrated. It is. I'm here legit just to make change and to help. You know, I've been gone from the Urbana-Champaign community for 10 years when I left for college and pro. And to see the backwards development of our youth, man, is troubling. My wife, she's a physician, and she shared an article with me from JAMA, the Journal of Medicine. And it was saying how just this year alone from COVID and the lack of learning that the youth are getting, it could decrease their life expectancy by up to 5 years. And to me, that was something that was crazy to hear, that just this 1 year and the lack of education this year can have that huge of an impact on the youth. And, you know, a lot of times as adults, we overlook the youth. You know, we say, oh, they got time. But at the same time, they're the future of what we're trying to build. And so if we can't get them on the right page now, then, you know, there's just really no turning back. And, you know, like Mr. Beatty, who passed away, unfortunately, from some of the violence, it just shows you that, you know, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, it doesn't matter if you're, you know, some guy on the street. Everyone's affected by what's going on right now. And, you know, it takes all of us to come together, not just one side of the aisle, not just the one side of this line, but everybody. And I think our children's a nonpartisan issue that we can all come together on.
Absolutely. And it takes people, when anybody can do it and anybody can step up, and that's great. But it seems like it has more of an effect when it's someone like you, when your name is known and they see that, well, he went out and did that, but then you come back. That to me, that makes a difference. I mean, anybody can do it from afar, but when you do it from the inside, that makes a difference. And I see those people see that and they know that it's real. And you said something just key right there. You've had fame, you've had attention, and it's overrated. So you're in this for the real thing. And that's a powerful statement, I think.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, we're just trying to make some help, to make some change, man. It's just, man, it's depressing. You know what really drove, like I said, we were going to wait for 4 years, but a couple of weeks ago, I was volunteering with this youth program called the Dream House here in Champaign. And during the COVID times, they're bringing in underprivileged kids. They got computers and laptops, are letting them learn, in a controlled setting since we don't have school. And there's this first grader I was volunteering with, and he legit knew all the different kind of Glocks that there are, as well as the calibers of guns. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, how are you a first grader who knows all of these things? There's no you should be knowing about Dragon Ball Z or what Pokemon cards there are. Not what kind of guns there are and what kind of caliber each one is.
Remember the IU basketball roster.
Exactly.
Or your favorite team. That's when I was a kid growing up. I knew all the, my favorite, whether it was the Reds or whoever it was. I knew the starting lineups of the Reds and this and that and their batting averages, and that's what kids should know. It's useless information, but it's positive useless information.
It is, and it's put them in a good situation, man. And it's just stuff that these kids are learning right now. If I got to be if I have to be one of the leaders to help them show that there's a way to make it out, that I grew up in the same situation that you did, but I got to go have gyros in Greece. I got to go have sushi in Tokyo. I got to visit the Eiffel Tower. And that just gives the next generation just a little bit of hope that, hey, I can make it out of this situation. I can make it out of, the country of Urbana, Illinois, and that's just all we're trying to do.
Hey, we got Verdell Jones sitting in with us as always, listening to Indiana Sports. We got tons coming up. AJ Guyton's going to join us. We're going to talk about him, and H talk about him surprising us. He had a baby in between. I didn't know that he was. So, man, you guys are both. I can't wait to have both of you all here. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com is going to join us next. We're getting you ready for Indiana basketball as they finish off the Maui Invitational, and they'll take on Florida State next Wednesday. We're back with more for the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Awesome. Congratulations, man. That's cool as heck. I hope anything we can do to help you, man. That'd be awesome.
I appreciate it. Well, actually,
I'm serious about hooking you up with Kirk, though, because he's got experience of running those campaigns and all that crap of being a new person in politics, and he's a good one.
I'd love to get some feedback. It's been crazy, man. It's been a lot of excitement from the community, from business leaders and people like that. Obviously, you have your little small niche of people who aren't too happy that I'm coming in and trying to change things up. But
they never are, man, because they like to line their pockets. A lot of those people got their systems set up, so they don't want you disrupting the money train.
Exactly. I think our current mayor, she tried to give herself a raise during the pandemic. It's just,
Is the mayor? I know it's a full-time job, but does it pay enough to be a full-time job in Champaign-Urbana?
Yeah, it does. You're not making pennies, you're making good money.
Why do you give yourself a raise during a pandemic?
It was.
You got to get Isaiah to give you do a bump for you, man. You got Isaiah, you got AJ Guyton, man.
Got to figure out something, man. So someone tried to contest the election, my petition yesterday. So now we got to go through the whole process of fighting their contestant.
You got them scared, Verdell. You got them scared, man. Before you even get to there. Wow. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yeah.
There he is. Alec Lasley. How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Great.
824-1100. The Golf Club.
Hey, you get that text? You need to do a story on Verdell.
Does your bank offer?
Yeah, well, I saw something about it like 2 weeks ago, and then obviously he wasn't on the show last week, so we weren't able to talk about it then.
Use mobile app.
Yeah, my last 2 weeks have been absolutely unreal. I'm in a boot right now on crutches too. So
You are?
Yeah, I saw what happened.
Man, so we were installing 4 Wi-Fi panels, and I had the extension ladder, and the safety level wasn't all the way hooked in, so the whole ladder came crashing down on my leg, man.
Oh my gosh.
My
Man,
foot
I have always
swollen,
seen
it's
I've never been
bleeding.
on one of those
Oh,
ladders that it scared me to death, thinking that it's just going to start in my hands, like it's going to take my hands off or something.
Yeah.
Thought about it.
Man, it came slamming down. It's not good. I'm supposed to be on bed rest for a few days, but who knows?
Did you do anything or just?
I went and got X-rays and got treatment and got the whole. My wife's a doctor, but she made sure I followed all the guidelines.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here this Friday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Joining us now from thehoosier.com, Alec Lasley. How are you, sir?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Cannot complain. An okay week for Indiana as they took up in the Maui Invitational in Nashville this week. They lose to a good Texas team, a Texas team that turned out to maybe be even better than we thought. But they responded well with a win over Stanford, and that's what you want to see in a response, especially Trace Jackson Davis, who kind of got pushed around, I think, in that Texas game, and it may have, punched, like they keep using the phrase, it punched him in the mouth, and they never really got back from that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the one main takeaway is they went 2-1, right? I think going into that, if you told people that IU was going to go 2-1, everyone would take that and walk away. So I think that's the good thing. Obviously, you would have wished to have seen a little bit of a better performance against Texas, but the main thing with Texas is that length, that athleticism on the front line. You don't see that a lot in the Big Ten. That's more of those big bodies that you see that Providence had. So it's not what you wanted to see, but at the same time, IU's not really going to see that throughout the year. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, and a conference, Riddell, that is loaded with big bodies, though. Illinois, a team close to you, has got loaded. Iowa, loaded. But I think it's a way that more Indiana can be more competitive. And with Trace Jackson Davis continuing to improve, and these freshmen, if they can continue to improve, that's what's going to be a difference maker for them.
I agree. I think Ray. I was super impressed with Race and Trace Jackson Davis's performance. I think Race Thompson his improvement from last year has been huge. And I think once you get Al Durham back healthy and some of those freshmen get used to playing on a D1 level, I think you'll be fine. I think there's a lot of things that you could take away from this tournament that's a positive that you can build on. Texas, like you said, they're a team that we might thought they might be a little bit better than we thought. So there's are things that you can learn from, but I think there's a lot of positive things to build on.
Armand Franklin got the – go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, the other thing that I think a lot of people kind of forget, Joey Brunk obviously didn't play. So that you got to factor that in a little bit. Obviously, he's going to be back. So again, I don't want to look too much into it because it was a terrible performance, but there were just obviously a lot of different variables that went into that game. I think if IU plays Texas again 2-3 months from now, I think it's going to be a much different story. But obviously it is something that it is going to catch your eye as IU obviously moves into Big Ten play.
But as it did, the comeback win against Stanford was also caught the eye because, like I said, it was a response, and you wanted to see that response. It was a great response by Trace Jackson Davis, who I'm sure they challenged him, and he answered that challenge. He had a career high in points, and to do that, you've got to work hard. Of course, your guys got to get the ball to you, but you got to be looking, and you got to be moving, you got to be working, and he was working a lot harder in that Stanford game.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the one thing that everyone was really looking to. He didn't really have a great game against Providence either. That was kind of overshadowed by the performance Race Thompson had. Just didn't really shoot the ball well the first two games. And obviously, as someone who does most of his work right around the basket, you need to shoot better than I think he was 10 for 27 for those first 2 games. That's just not going to get it done. And obviously that didn't get it done against Texas. So the response that he had was definitely eye-opening. I think everyone saw the kind of dominant fashion that he can take games over in. I think he scored the first 10 out of the first 14 points for IU in the first half, and maybe like 8 out of the first 12 in the second half. That's kind of the response that you need, not only from your best player, but someone who, although he's not a captain, is definitely the guy who really energizes the team, kind of on both ends of the floor.
And how about Armaan Franklin, Verdell? He kind of reminds me of Verdell Jones. He's in that type of position, and getting the start was a little surprising. And he's starting to step up. He's going to have to step up because you just lost Al Durham for we don't know how long, and that's going to put a little bit more on him. But he's kind of been answering the call a little bit.
Yeah, I think he has a little bit of experience in the Big Ten, and next man up. Unfortunately, Al Durham got hurt, but it's always gonna be the next man up. You're gonna go through injuries. You're gonna go through little things that happen, and you got to make sure that the next person in line is ready to go. And I think he'll respond to the call, and as well as Lander and some of the other guys. But like I said, it's the first tournament of the season. No one really knew what to expect, especially with the whole COVID situation and no fans. And I think that like Alex said, to come out of this 2-1. And, getting hit in the mouth sometimes is a good thing for a team. Getting hit in the mouth by Texas like that was probably a wake-up call for some of those guys. And, it's all about how you respond. And I think they responded well against Stanford. They just got to follow up with Florida State and some of the other games coming up.
Alec, they're going to be depending on Armaan as they go forward without Al Durham, especially with his, even though he's just a sophomore, having some experience. Christian Lander has been coming in, and he's been playing pretty well. His shooting needs to get tighter, but that's okay from a freshman. But he's moving the ball. His quickness is definitely noticeable when he's on the floor. It's a different, kind of a different look.
Yeah, I think the one kind of underrated part of that Stanford game was the minutes that Christian Lander was able to play. Right around the 12-minute, the under 12 timeout, Rob Fennessy picked up his 4th foul, and that obviously kind of pushed Christian Lander into significant minutes. So it was an 8-point game at that time. Obviously, IU had really kind of controlled the game up to that point, but 8 points can go from 8 to 15 in 2 seconds or down to 0 in 2 seconds. That's a very crucial kind of segment that Christian Lander played, and he ended up helping IU stretch that lead to 14. Had 2 points, couple assists in that segment, and I think he played really, really well. A lot of people are looking at him, a 5-star freshman, 5-star point guard, to come in and play lights out immediately, and I think people just tend to forget he still should have been a senior in high school. This is usually now their 4th, 5th game before they go into Maui. This was only their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So there's a lot of different factors that go into adjusting to the college style, and especially getting thrust into that big moment right away. I think he responded, and I think you're going to see him continue to pick that up and adjust to the speed, the length, and the athleticism that he really wasn't used to at the high school level.
Well, Verdell, one of the things that's been a criticism of this team has been free throw shooting over the last couple of years, and it had continued right in the beginning of these first couple of games. But the last 2 games, they've shot like 80-something percent, 75%. Is that just a case of just being kind of slapped back into reality? Like, hey guys, wake the heck up and shoot your damn free throws. This is an easy thing to do, but it's critical to the game, because I don't know how you go from shooting so poorly to shooting so well, other than it just being that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a mix of things. Free throw shooting it's a whole science behind it. I will always say half of it's physical, half of it's mental. So maybe getting punched in the mouth by Texas really, like you said, made them really realize the importance of every free throw in every game, and maybe that helped. And you only tell by the next game. Sometimes we would shoot great, and the next game we would shoot awful. It's about being locked in and staying on point.
Yeah, 4-1 is the mental to the physical, as I'm so used to hearing Todd Leary say from Bob Knight in the old days. But if they can keep that on track, that will make a big difference for them as they go through this conference season that we already know is going to be tough, Alec. There's going to be a lot of tight games, and things like free throw shooting are going to be a big part of this season for this team. And I think will make a critical difference from between being an 8 and a 11 team and being a 10 and 10 team, or the other way even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one guy that you look at the most when it comes to free throw shooting is Trace Jackson Davis, albeit he's, a big man, and you never really look at your power forwards and your centers as being kind of the backbone at the free throw line, but he's the one who's going to go there the most, right? So he needs to be able to shoot a little bit better than what he has throughout the first couple of games. He had a really good game from the line. I think it was 11 of 14 against Stanford. So, he definitely answered the bell there and raised that performance from the free throw line. But he's one of those guys that you really need a lot out from the line, because he's going to be the one going there most.
And going along right with that is Race Thompson, because as Verdell pointed out, he's been playing really well. He's been very active down low, but he got to the free throw line 10 times in that game against Stanford, I think it was. Providence, rather. I'm looking at the Providence stats. Against Providence, he had 6 of them, which is good, but it's only 60%. If he can stay busy, but he's got to hit his free throws too, because if you can get to the line, critical points.
Yeah, absolutely. And those two guys are probably going to be the two main ones, just because without Al Durham, most of those guards in the backcourt really aren't significant slashers. I'd like to see Armaan Franklin do that a little bit more, kind of take his game to the next level. He tends to kind of settle for some mid-range jumpers a little bit often, but he's another one that could really live at the line. And if he's able to make a lot of those, that would go a long way, and obviously benefiting IU in these close game situations.
Coming up next, they have the Florida State Seminoles in a Big Ten ACC Challenge. That's not till next Wednesday, so they get a lot of time off to prepare. Verdell, when you have that much time, it's like a week in between games. Just start the season, and you start the season with a bum rush. 3 games, bam, bam, bam. You play in the Maui. Then you got a week off to work on everything. How important is that? How critical is that? And what are you doing in this week?
Oh, this is huge, really. People understanding that time off really helps you develop. And I think not just, getting in the weight room or getting on the court, but watching film. My Coach Kreese always say, women lie, men lie, but film doesn't, So when you turn the film on and you're watching the film, there's no hiding. There's no, I didn't do, no, it's on the film. So you can be able to see all the errors that you make. But that's huge to your development, because you got to be able to see the areas of improvement with your own eyes to be able to make that effort to change it. And even with guys like Al Durham and people like that who are having injuries, it's a huge opportunity to get in the training room, get in the ice bath, get that stem treatment, and just to help recover. Because I'll be the first to tell you, getting hurt like that at the beginning of the season is not fun for the rest of the season. So when you have little breaks like this, you definitely want to make sure you're getting in there, getting extra treatment, and getting healed up.
Alec?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main point about the injuries is something significant. Being able to kind of get your roster back to full health, probably with a couple of days off to watch the film, so you're not doing too much physical activity. Because we saw, obviously, the first 2 years with Rob Phinisee, if you get injured early on in the year, you really don't get much of a break, and that kind of lingers with you. So hopefully Al can kind of rest up this ankle, because obviously Indiana's going to need him at a major level for them to kind of reach their goals. Kind of one thing that's usually not the case going into the ACC Big Ten Challenge is usually these teams have multiple games to really watch film on. Florida State just played their first game yesterday, I believe, or the day before.
I was going to ask. I'm looking at the schedule, and I only see one game. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so that's one thing. It's going to be interesting to see. They have a lot of the same kind of skill set that they normally always do. Leonard Hamilton does a great job of kind of retooling every single year with the same kind of skills. So the skill set, the scheme isn't really going to change, but obviously the players do. So it'll be interesting to see on obviously a full week, but really not a lot to base it off of how this IU team gets ready to go down to Tallahassee and take on Florida State.
Yeah, Verdell, I would think that gives an advantage to Indiana, having 4 games under your belt, especially having already been put through a situation where you're having to respond to something. So you're already facing a situation that has hopefully grown your team, what's what it looks like. So I think that's an advantage to Indiana as they head to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. They've only played once, Alex said, against North Florida. A big 86-58 win, but I think Indiana was a little advantage there.
I think so too, especially if we get our guys back healthy. I think that'd be the only disadvantage about playing early is if our Durham and Finney are still hurt. But it is, being able to being challenged like they did against Texas and even Stanford, and being able to overcome, some of those deficits and win against Stanford. Those little things like that is increase your confidence, increase kind of who you're going to be as an identity for the season. And, Florida State with only having 1 game against North Florida, they probably haven't really they really haven't figured it out yet or faced that adversity yet. I think there's definitely momentum going in IU's favor.
Absolutely. Alec, what can Hoosier fans expect from this Florida State team? They've only played once, like we said, but what's the scouting report?
They're long, they're big, they're athletic. They're going to have a very similar front
like
line
Texas.
to what to what Texas had. So that's why I think the only real disadvantage that IU would have in that scenario is obviously Florida State can kind of take the same game plan that Texas used, built kind of the same way. They usually always have veteran guards, just like Texas did, athletic guards, bigger guards. So that's one thing to kind of keep an eye on. But I think you see for IU, you saw what Texas did to you. So now you're kind of able to adjust and you have a full week to do so. Hopefully, Joey Brunk and Al Durham are back in the lineup because that would help a lot facing kind of that bigger bodied, more athletic Florida State line. But the teams are still kind of built very similar to last year. Obviously, IU won that game pretty easily last year, albeit behind a 30-point game from Devontae Green. So it's going to be another good one. I think this is going to be another very early test for IU to really prove that kind of Stanford game wasn't really a fluke, that's kind of who they are, and move forward and kind of have their eyes set on starting the Big Ten.
Well, looking forward to it, Alec. Appreciate you, brother. Hope you have a great weekend, and looking forward to that. Tomorrow, Indiana taking on Wisconsin in football. We didn't get a chance to talk about that with you, but we'll do that on next week. But have a great weekend, man.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Later,
Alec Lasley joining us from thehoosier.com, and we've got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with it from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. We'll be right back right after this. So, man, is your foot feeling all right?
Yeah, it's swollen and hurting right now, man.
I'm surprised you're not sitting with it propped up.
I'm supposed to be.
Prop that thing up, man.
Yeah.
Golly. I remember I was just thinking about this the other day. I have horrible ankles, and it's because all my shoes are worn on the outside heel, so I step with my heel already coming down out like that. I remember the first time I was wearing those Nike Cortez, the very first Nike shoe, the red with the white swoosh, playing basketball, and I remember going up for a layup in my left foot, and I remember that ankle bone that sticks out the side. I remember that thing going off the gym floor, and I'm like, oh God. Boy, that was my first one, and there was a lot in between, but I'll never forget that one. It was good.
Yeah,
feeling that thing hit the floor, boy. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's not. Luckily, I'm a little used to foot and leg injury, so my pain tolerance is kind of high, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't.
Well, you know what AJ got? I mean, shit, Al Durham's going through.
Yeah.
Dealing with it. That's the worst too. To deal with a nagging ankle, and usually you have to deal with it all year. It's just you can't get rid of it completely. There's just no way because you don't unless you let it heal.
My junior year, I messed my ankle up real bad right after Midnight Madness, and I missed preseason and just was battling through the whole season with it. It's just It never goes away. It never
It's
goes
leg,
away.
ankles, and groins.
Yeah.
It just seems like those are the two worst nagging injuries I've ever had in my life.
They never go away. They're just there. It's always lingering.
Eagle Point in Bloomington. Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chan, banking center with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services. Switching to Banterra is easy. Stop by our locations to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. The college and pro football seasons bring friends together. The Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying $1 Busch Light drafts every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
Hey, this is George Rose, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana Sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on this Friday, into the week. Excited, I'd say Verdell's excited to do his normal honeydew list, but he's got a bum wheel this week. How are you going to do your honeydewing with that bum wheel, man? Because I know that list is not shorter.
Oh, there's no honeydewing this week. I'll be right on the couch, reading or getting ready for the mayor stuff or something. This is not going to be too much handiwork this weekend.
Yeah, how you going to be politicking and glad-handing and pressing the flesh with well, I guess you can't press the flesh right now anyway with the COVID. So I guess but I guess that helps you out a little bit. You don't have to worry about being out shaking hands and things.
No, you're not lucky. I mean, I won't say luckily, but with the whole COVID situation, the way we go about our campaign is going to be a little bit more digital this year, which it's about to be winter time, so I'm not too upset about it.
That's got to help a little bit, I think, especially with your situation and this year. It's got to be a little helpful.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think it's during this time with the whole COVID situation, it's going to allow us to be a little bit more creative in how we reach people and how we spread the message of what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. This weekend, Indiana taking on Wisconsin Verdell in football. And Indiana has a chance to win a Big Ten title depending on what happens with Ohio State, of course. But things are not looking good for them. Their coach is not coaching, Ryan Day, not coaching this week as they take on Illinois, I think. And their game next week against Michigan in doubt because Michigan has already paused football-related activities this week. And Jim Harbaugh would love to stick it to Ryan Day on his way out because Jim Harbaugh is not coaching next year at Michigan. There's no way in hell I can see that scenario happening. So his last act as coach, you're going to tell me he would love it to stick it to Ohio State on the way out because there's no way they beat him on the field.
Yeah. I think I'm interested to see how that plays out, to be honest with you. Coach Harbaugh he's a Wolverine to the heart, and I think you're right. That'd be one way that he would love to go. He might love to go out that way, just to stick it to Ohio State, not let them get a title or to be able to play in the college playoffs either. So, we'll see what happens. But I think Indiana has a great opportunity in front of them. Obviously with Penix being out is devastating, but I mean they're playing great inspired football right now too. So I think their defense steps up. I think Wisconsin is always a juggernaut when it comes to football, but I don't think IU lets this year just go to waste. I think they capitalize on the opportunity in front of them.
Bill Evans is listening to us, and he has had the same thoughts about Jack Tuttle, and I think they're going to be fine. Normally, if I'm watching a game or whatever, and a quarterback goes down or something like that goes down, you're thought, oh my gosh, you're like, oh man, that's going to be devastating. That was never a thought for weirdly even though Jack Tuttle didn't have the experience when I saw him last that he has now. But he came in, he looked confident, he looked smooth. The team had confidence in him shortly thereafter. And I'm sure that after all the practice they've had, that's only just grown and to where it was. This is a confident team. And when you're playing like this defense is, it almost doesn't matter. They're like, we're going to kick your butt no matter what. You'll make it harder on us? Okay, we'll do that too. And that's the mantra I just see this defense having. They just look like it doesn't matter. We're coming at you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they might have put a little bit more chip on their shoulder to want to be able to come out and compete at a high level. Obviously it's hard to replace a Heisman candidate and Michael Penix, but I think Tuttle comes in and he provides and proves himself well. And I think Coach Allen, man, we talk about it every weekend. I think he comes and has his team ready to go. I mean, like you said, Coach K wants to play for him, So when you have a leader like that you're willing to go through a brick wall for, you're still going to play at your highest level. I think that they come out and play inspired football, like I said, and I think they come up with the victory.
And the fact that they did not miss a beat. I mean, literally, they didn't blink, and that's one of their phrases, but they didn't. And it's easy to say that, but they showed it, and they had the opportunity that was an opportunity for them to face that, and they did, and they did not blink. And to me, I'm like, wow, that is one of the most impressive things that they've done this year, is because that is the biggest moment of stress that team has been under right there. Your leader, your guy, the guy that you followed just went down and he's out and he's gone for the year. They didn't blink.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it shows you this is the kind of team that they have, the chemistry that's going on, the mentality that they have. Because instead of separating or falling down, they rallied together and came even closer. And that's a sign of a great team. When that adversity hits you, how are you going to respond? Are you just going to, feel sorry for yourself and just, lay your arms down? Or are you going to pick up your teammates and rally together and compete? And I think that's what they're going to do. Like I said, man, I had nothing but high praises for Coach Allen. I think he's going to make it happen.
Yeah, he certainly has, and looking forward to that. But it is a tough tough matchup for them as they go to Madison, Wisconsin, to take on a team that they're kind of like Florida State in basketball. We haven't seen much of them because they just haven't played a lot of games. They've had so many games canceled. The games they have played, they look pretty good in. They have a backup quarterback going to in Mertz, but he looked really good. It's kind of the same situation with Jack Tuttle. He's the backup, but he was an elite quarterback already, and this kid, they have an elite quarterback as well. So it's going to be a tough matchup, but I think Indiana's defense is playing lights out. They are intercepting about 3 balls a game, which is crazy. They've got 18 turnovers in 6 games, 16 interceptions. They lead the nation in interceptions, and I don't think that stops. And that's got to worry. I guarantee you Mertz is thinking about that, because it's not just the interceptions. It's the reasons that they're intercepting, because of the pressure, the blitzing, and that's not going to stop. I think Indiana's going to win this game.
Absolutely. Those are all, and let's even piggyback off that. The fact that Wisconsin hasn't had that many games, that rhythm isn't there. Indiana, they've been able to play, and they've been able to play at a high level. So their momentum and their confidence and that rhythm and that chemistry is flowing right now. So, even with Penix out and Tuttle in, I think that momentum continues to carry over, and that rhythm continues to carry over into this game. And I think that's definitely something that they can build on and gives them the legs up in this match.
And so we talked earlier about Indiana having a week off in basketball before they take on Florida State next week. When you have that kind of a week off after the season just starts, what are you thinking about as a player right now this early in the year?
Man, just figuring out how to be better. Like I said, I think Maui was a great kind of litmus test of where everyone stands, and there's a lot of things that need to be worked on. Even with Trace Jackson Davis having a huge game against Stanford, I think those previous 2 games are great learning games for him to watch. So you're just trying to prepare your mind. It's a long season. One tournament, one game is not going to dictate which way your season is going to go. But I think this is great learning. It's great film to be watched. You don't have much film to watch on Florida State right now, but you have plenty of film to watch on yourself. And if you could fix some of the things, in house, going into a Florida State or wherever and playing those guys, you'll feel a lot more prepared.
Yeah, and then when you see a team like Texas who just beat you to death, but then they go out and they beat North Carolina, that's got to make you feel a little bit better. Texas is a good team. Texas is going to do some good things, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, Shaka, he's kind of in a hot seat right now, so they're expecting them to have a great year this year. And they played inspired basketball as well. Beat Indiana, that beat North Carolina, shows you that they're not as a fluke team. They're definitely a high level team. And like I said, Indiana, they're young. They got some new pieces that they're trying to figure out. So, it's nothing to fret over. I'm confident about what the direction they're going, because you see the progress and the development of guys like Grace Thompson and people like that. So, it's a long season, man. Just hope everyone stays healthy, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Some games tonight. Michigan State back in action. They take on the Fighting Dick Vitals as they play Detroit. Is Mike Davis still there?
I'm not sure.
I think he is. And his son, Mike Davis Jr., I don't know if he's have to look that up, but he was lighting it up from 3-point land there for him last year. I think
he was a senior last year, though.
Yeah, I think that's right. Duke is at home to Bellarmine. Bellarmine out of Louisville is entering Division I basketball now. They're a Division I team, so they're going down to Cameron to take on the Dukies. So good luck to those guys down there. That's awesome to see a school like that rise up, go to Division I. That program has been great, Division II program down there. They've won national championships. Use a lot of Indiana high school kids because they're down in Louisville. Get a lot of Southern Indiana high school kids to build that on. So that's going to be cool to see that. They're going to play their games in Freedom Hall in Louisville, where the University of Louisville used to play their games. Which that's a hell of an arena. There's been NCAA title games played there. That's just one of those famous arenas. Scotty Davenport, the coach there, used to be coach at Ballard High School in Louisville. But that's just cool to see that.
That is, man. I'm super excited. I always love to hear, like you said, programs who might have been D2 or IA move up and get that kind of opportunity to play in D1. And Bellarmine, they've been an incredible program. On a D2 level. So I'm excited that they get the opportunity to be a D1 team, and there's no better way to be welcomed into the D1 world than go down and play Cameron.
And then Wisconsin, this may be the game of the night. Wisconsin is on the road at Marquette, and Marquette's I think they're got to set up. I don't know. I can't remember. I think they lost some guys, but we'll see. I know Wisconsin is supposed to be good. We're thinking they're going to be like fourth or so in the Big Ten, so that'd be kind of a barometer for them. Texas Tech, number 17, they're at home against Troy, and then Oregon again. That's it. Not a lot of college basketball tonight. Well, we saw Kansas beat Kentucky. Kentucky also lost to Richmond this week. So a lot went on at Michigan State beat Duke earlier in the week at Cameron. So there's a lot going on this week in college basketball, Verdell.
It is a lot of moving pieces, a lot of games going on. And it's exciting. It's exciting that sports are going on and that basketball is being played. If we could say anything that we missed in 2020, it was March Madness in the tournament. And so to see that the basketball season is continuing and is going forward, and I'm just hoping that everything stays safe for the guys so we can have a full year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this Indiana basketball season plays out, because this is the season that Archie Miller's got to come through. There's no doubt about that. We're in year 4, and the fans, after that Texas loss, there was a lot of talk on social media, and that's going to happen. But if they get some wins and kind of get themselves out there a little bit, then it's going to be a lot easier to withstand those. If that happens against an Iowa or an Illinois, you're going to expect that, but it's going to be a little easier to take. But they've got to not. They can't be playing the middle all year long. You've got to beat some teams. You got to do something. You got to kind of show some separation, if that makes sense, Verdell.
It definitely does. And, the Hoosier faithful, that's one thing I will say, is that they expect nothing but the best. So, staying in that mid-pack, below mid-pack is not going to be acceptable to them. But like I said, I think that right now there's a lot of promising things to build on, And I think this is the year that you can make a huge jump. You don't have to worry about fans. You don't have to worry about, going and playing at a crazy Michigan State gym or going, to Ohio State and playing. It's just talent versus talent in the gym. So this is the opportunity where you can really just focus on what's at hand, the matchups, the play calls, and things like that. And I think that's a huge asset to have right now, especially with the Indiana team that's trying to make that jump. I think there could be some cards being played where you could beat Iowa just because there's no fans in the stand. It's all about matchups and having that confidence, and the only confidence you need to have is right there in our locker room. You don't need the full approval of the fans or the media. You just need the full approval of all those guys wearing those jerseys and the guys wearing the ties on the bench. So if you can create a chemistry that can make things happen, then anything can happen.
And I know everybody has to do it, so it's the same for everyone. And I know that basketball players do it all the time in summer leagues, AAU, et cetera. But the no fans thing at this level, your Division I basketball, that's not normal. So it's something that you have to do differently. And you have to, we've said so many times, bring your own juice, as I forget one of the coaches that came up with that. But how hard is that to do that on the road? Even though there's no fans, but if you're at the Kohl Center or if you're at MSU, wherever you are, at Mackey, wherever you are, how do you manufacture that for yourself when there's nobody there supporting you, hardly nobody there cheering for you? You just got to do it on your own.
I mean, I think that's a question we could ask Coach Allen. They haven't had fans in their stands, but when you see that sideline, they are juiced up and excited about every play. And that's just come back to a chemistry thing, being supportive of each other, being happy when someone else makes the right play. I think even when you watch the NBA playoffs, the teams that end up winning were the teams that had the best benches. You got to be sold out for the whole team, even if your name's not being called to be on the floor. And I think that's just a chemistry thing that happens in house. So if Coach Miller can create that kind of atmosphere and that chemistry and that enthusiasm across the bench, then you'll bring your own juice.
Yeah, they're going to have to, and especially as a Big Ten play. Now, I would think that wouldn't be as difficult when you're playing an Iowa and Illinois, who is a team you're going to be, or half the teams in the Big Ten, actually, for that matter. How do you not let it be different, though, when you're playing Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin versus a team that you're thinking that maybe this is going to be not a night off, but this is not going to be as hard a night? And I don't really want to throw a team. I don't know who's bad in the Big Ten. Really, you can never tell who's going to be bad or not. But how do you know? Because I don't see them doing it every game, and so it's just so difficult for them in that situation.
Man, it's gonna, and you know what? I can't even give the best advice because I haven't been through a situation like this where there's no one in the stands, or like you said, you have to bring your juice every time. The closest thing I probably experienced is probably some of the games I had in the NBA G League. Some places you go, there aren't many fans, so you have to bring your own juice. But it's going to be a weird year, but this is where, your senior leadership, your coaching leadership, this is where all of these factors really have a huge part, more than any other year this year. Because, there's going to be times where your younger guys are going to be like, man, there's no one in the stands. They might not, it might have just had back-to-back games somewhere or been traveling and just don't feel it. And that's where that senior comes in like, all right, listen, guys, rally the troops. Let's get our mindset together and let's go and get this W. Or having Coach Archie bring the guys in and encouraging them and bring that enthusiasm to the game. Like, those are all little different leadership qualities that have to be shown now.
Not having fans in the stands, does that help these freshmen get acclimated to Division I basketball, to Big Ten basketball? Christian Lander, he gets to go out and do his thing and not have – that's one of the things he doesn't have to worry about. And I think that's got to be helpful for these guys, their young development. I
definitely think it is. It definitely takes away one of the huge factors about playing and at a place like Indiana or in the Big Ten is, you're playing in front of 15,000, 16,000 fans. And if you're not used to that, that could add a whole different kind of element to it. So I think it's going to be huge for Christian and those guys like that. A lot of the freshmen in the Big Ten be able to adapt a lot quicker. That's something that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about if you make a mistake, you're hearing the hustles and bustles in the crowd, or you're hearing a boo from someone in the stands, or you're playing at Michigan State and they know everything about you and your girlfriend and your family. So those are just little things that they don't have to quite deal with yet. And as a freshman, that's huge. Our first experience playing on the road in the Big Ten, it was something different. And being able to have that experience, for me, it helped me develop a little bit quicker. But for some guys, it might be better for them to develop on the court first before having to deal with all those things. So, each kid is different, man. But I definitely think not having fans in the stands is going to allow some of these younger guys to develop a little bit differently.
We'll talk about that more with AJ Guyton next when he joins us, as well as his new baby. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Oh, baby.
You got anything planned for the weekend?
Man, I got a football game tomorrow, and I think it's a 3:30 game. It stinks because that means it won't get over until
hand-tossed pizzas, bowl burgers,
7:30, post-game, Zoom meetings.
selection, all made fresh.
That's about it.
For that post-win meal in the family dining area, or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
I hope they go to
For those champions.
It's never going to happen. But if Ohio State does not get to play in the Big Ten championship, and Indiana does, and they go undefeated and they win the Big Ten championship, I'm like, what are you going to do with a 7-1 Indiana team that's the Big Ten champion? You're going to not put them in the college football playoff? They won't. But that was them in the Rose Bowl.
You don't know, though. You don't know. I mean,
there is no way they will put Indiana. It's what it says right there. There is no way they will put Indiana on that line. I promise you.
I believe you only lose to Ohio State by a touchdown. On the road. I mean, if you win out, they have a case.
I know. I'm with you. That's why I'm with you.
They have a case. That'll be wild, man.
Sports Beat Radio.
Now the show from Florida, baby.
Wings, and there's no better place than the
wherever. Oh, I wish they'd go to the Rose Bowl. I would be doing the show from Pasadena.
Yeah.
Live from Pasadena.
My wife's from Pasadena, so I'll try to come out there.
I guarantee it. Have you out there with AJ Moyer on the show? Because he's living in L.A. Michael Lewis lives in L.A.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services.
Did you send the link to AJ Noah?
Stop by our locations to learn more. Remember FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The college seasons bring friends together. The Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying $1 Busch Light drafts every Sunday.
That accordion. I love the accordion.
The $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic.
Man, can you imagine just going someplace and listening to an accordion all day?
Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Solersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from hole number 6 here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. A lot of games this weekend. Pino's Picks has been hot. College basketball, they're 3-0 last night, 8-2 on the week. Got a couple here for you. Marquette giving up 5. There's that game we talked about, that game right there. He's picking Marquette, giving up the 5 points to cover over Wisconsin at home. Interesting. See how that goes. Bradley, a pick 'em over South Dakota State. And Oregon is giving up 3 points to cover at Seton Hall. Yeah, Seton Hall is not as good as they looked last year. But go to pinospicks.com and they'll put in promo Hoosiers. They'll give you all kinds of great picks. pinospicks.com. Hoosiers is your promo code. Riddell, there's that Marquette game right there. So he's picking Marquette and giving up the points, though. But so that's going to be a close game, as I thought. Something to watch over the weekend, college basketball-wise.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game, too. So anything can happen in a rivalry game.
That is true, man. Indiana will be taking on Purdue a couple times this year. Hopefully that turns out differently as the season progresses. But the Big Ten, as we talked about, is going to be very, very tough. You've got teams that are looked at as national title contenders in Iowa and Illinois. But Illinois, they took it. Baylor looked really strong against Illinois. They kind of just made Kofi go away that first half, especially. It was no factor.
Yeah, they definitely struggled a little bit, and I think they definitely saw some holes in their program as well. But like I said, man, national champions, Big Ten champions, they're not crowned at the beginning of the year. So all these games are really great learning lessons for every team, and I think the Big Ten is a super, super solid league this year, and man, I think you'll have multiple contenders. Obviously we talk about the Illinois and Iowa, but you can never count on Michigan State ever, and then you got Wisconsin.
They just won in Cameron.
Exactly.
The stadium. So there you go. That puts them right back into the conversation.
Absolutely. Izzo always has his teams ready in March, so you can never count them out, man. So like I said before, it's exciting that teams are playing. I just love watching basketball, and to me, college basketball is the most unpredictable season. So I can't wait to see what happens.
And then we've got the COVID issue. Syracuse has 5 players out now due to virus issues. It looks like Louisville has paused team activities. The University at North Carolina Greensboro game is off. So there's that. Did you see it was Gonzaga game the other night, and Suggs, their player that went down, I'm like, oh my God, he's gone for the year with a Achilles, and he ends up playing in the game again. I could not believe that.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. I thought it was something a lot more serious, but I'm not sure. Hopefully everything is okay. I tell people all the time, I tell my players all the time, once you get hurt, man, you don't want to push it too much. Obviously, the fans and your coaches don't want you to play, but I'm telling you from firsthand, if you have a serious injury, it's okay to rest for a little bit and get back healthy.
Absolutely, and hope that that's not the case. But it seems like he was okay. It's more scary than anything else, I guess. But now the COVID. Now we have to worry about COVID because we got through football, and I was thinking my daughter was so lucky. She played high school soccer, and they were able to there was a few things, but they were able to get it through, played the tournament, and ended up having a good year, which is unbelievable. But basketball, man, it's going to be tougher. It's inside. We've already seen, the numbers spike and there's games, but we're just got to deal with it. It's just there, and we're going to have to deal with it. There are going to be games that get canceled. There's going to be times where probably Indiana basketball gets paused. We don't know that, but just looking at the odds, it's just going to have to deal with it and to continue to move forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's 2020, man. This whole COVID situation has really made things a little bit more sticky. And like you said, with basketball being indoors, you're just hoping that it doesn't, it doesn't disrupt the season. I think I don't know about some of the other schools, but I know Illinois right now has sent everyone home until January. So I'm hoping that with a lot of these students being sent home, that the COVID cases don't really rise amongst the athletes with everyone being gone. But obviously, if students come back in second semester, then that's when you got to really worry about cancellations and the spread happening even more.
When does Baylor and Gonzaga play? That game's coming up, right?
That's today.
I mean, I don't think it is it?
No, it is
I don't,
coming. Hold on.
yeah, I don't see when it is. It must be this. Maybe it's tomorrow. Surely it's a Saturday game. But man, how about that? How about an early season #1 and #2 clash? You don't get those opportunities a lot either this early.
You don't,
And
man.
both those teams are looking good.
Looking real good, looking elite. So we'll see what happens. I think it's gonna be a fun game to watch. And maybe it's a preview of what's to come down the line. But I always love those early of the year games. It's not always fun to watch a #1 team beat up on a a lower division team. But when this is 1 and 2 or those top 10 matchups, man, it's super exciting to watch.
Gonzaga is one of those teams that they've been up for so many years, but never people just still don't really. They won't put them in the conversations with the elite, I think, even though they're ranked #1 half the time, but they haven't won at the national level yet. And until they do that, I don't think that they're going to get that complete respect.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately,
Right or wrong, it's right or wrong.
No, I agree. I mean, I think with Gonzaga, they're not in one of those tougher conferences. So they a lot of times people overlook what they're doing. But every year in year out, they have a tough non-conference schedule. They win games, and I think you're right. They got to get over that hump and get a national championship under their belt, and then they'll be considered a powerhouse.
There's something else that's come up here lately. Talking about football now. It's set. The Big Ten, 6 games. You have to play 6 games, and that's why Indiana might have an opportunity if Ohio State has to cancel. There's been a lot of talk. People saying, well, maybe they should change the rules now. That infuriates me so much because if it was any other situation, nobody would be suggesting you change that. And hell no, you don't change that. That would be the biggest travesty. If Kevin Warren has already screwed the Big Ten up bigger than you can imagine, that would just be the final. If that was it, that would be it. I would go on a campaign personally to get rid of him. But you can't change the rules in the middle of the game. And anybody to even suggest that to me is idiotic. I just don't know why you would even think to go out and make that suggestion because it's crazy. Indiana has done what has been asked of them. Whatever team, every other team, you do what is asked of you. If you can't do it, you can't do it. That's what it is. It's tough. It's 2020. Deal with it, man. It's life. But you're not changing the damn rules.
No, I agree, man. That definitely can't happen. I mean, like you said, if it's the other way around, they definitely wouldn't do it. So it's an unspoken rule that obviously on the football side, everyone is kind of encouraging wants Ohio State to be the representative year in and year out. But I mean, sorry, it's an unfortunate year. If they don't get the necessary games, and that's just part of the year. I hate. There's a lot of talent over there at Ohio State, and I know they want to compete at a college championship level. But Indiana deserves the same kind of right too. If it happens for them. So I'm hoping that the commissioner doesn't change the rules, and I hope it keeps true to what the original rules were set out to be. Because if you change that up, man, then there's really no integrity.
Yeah, because it's not like they blew Indiana out, and they were at home on top of that. So there's not a lot of an argument there for them to make. But let's certainly hope. I cannot imagine in any scenario that changing. There's just no way. You would have to have all the presidents do that because I don't think Kevin Warren has that kind of power, and I don't think he has that kind of idiocy inside of him to do that. So I don't see it happening. I think it's just more of something for us to talk about more than anything. But it's Ohio State, so you have to take it serious because, like I said earlier, when I said there's no way they're going to put Indiana in there, they won't. They will not put Indiana in the college football playoffs. Will not. Not when you already see they've got Oklahoma at 6-2 out of the Big 12. It's not very good. You've got Iowa State out of the Big 12. That's not very good with 2 losses because they beat Texas, who's not very good, in front of Indiana in the college football playoffs already. It does not make sense. Georgia, because they're in the SEC, they're a 6-2.
Yeah.
Who have they beaten? They've lost twice, but yet they're in front of Indiana. That's 3 two-loss teams, none of which deserve to be in front of Indiana, that are in front of Indiana in the college football playoffs currently. But I think if Indiana just takes care of business, you go to Wisconsin and win. You beat Purdue next week. You then possibly go to the Big Ten championship. You just take care of business. 7-1 is going to look pretty good when you've got 4 of those wins over ranked teams. That will be the case. So it's hopefully that it takes care of itself, and Indiana just takes care of business.
Yeah, they just got to keep on winning, man. I think they're not supposed to put injuries in the factor, but I think with Michael Penix getting hurt, the college committee probably doesn't see Indiana being a contender. But that's just more bulletin material for the team to come out this week, tomorrow, and prove everyone wrong. I think this is a defense that's elite, that's making big plays happen, and it's creating more opportunities for the offense. And like I said, man, you just went out, you beat Wisconsin tomorrow, you beat Purdue, and you're in the talks to be the play for the Big Ten championships. I think the rankings and everything switches around. I do. I think the momentum goes back to IU's favor because, like you said, they're a one-loss team. Their one loss is to Ohio State. If Ohio State can't make it to the playoffs because of the games, then we got to figure out something else. And I think Indiana would be deserving of that spot.
Absolutely, I agree. We got a little more coming up before we finish things out here. Listening to Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. We're back right after this. Well, I guess we don't get to talk about AJ's baby. That sounds like a TV show, AJ's baby.
AJ's baby.
So now I got to wait a week on AJ's baby. Got to wait a week on the mayoral.
Of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, home burgers, and ice cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burger, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off 565 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place in podcasts or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Club and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100, the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services.
I'm gonna try to get Kirk on next Friday, Rideau.
Cool.
Kirk Hastings.
Nice. That'd be nice, man.
Bring friends together. For me, Royce Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL.
And if there's ever anybody that you, like your former teammates or whatever, feel free to have anybody, or it doesn't even have to be that. Anybody that you say, hey, I think this would be cool. Let me know. Give me their email information, and love to have anybody on that you're going to have on.
Be part of the Kevin every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 on Vernon Avenue.
Hey, this is Jordan Hall, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat as we are headed towards the weekend. That is right. It is Friday, and man, big plans for you, Verdell. Well, Verdell doesn't have big plans. He's got a hobbled a little bit, so no honey doing for you, man. I was just telling the story about how you hurt your ankle. That's because this is the thing I said. It scares me to death anytime I'm on one of those stupid extension ladders, thinking it's going to do the and I'm going to see myself just flying down. That's kind of what happened to you. It sounds like.
Yeah. We were installing these solar Wi-Fi panels for underprivileged areas in Central Illinois, and we had to reboot with a couple of the nodes, and one of the safety levers on the extension ladder wasn't all the way in, and it just came crushing down on my foot, man, and it's all swollen and bleeding, and got me in the boot.
Man, golly. There's my fear coming true, man. I'm never going to get on one of those ladders again now.
No, you know what? I might follow the same thing with you. I might be the last ladder for me.
I'm going to say, hey, get up there a little bit higher up there. Can you reach that up there? I'll be pointing at me right there. A lot of football this weekend. Some games in North Carolina, number 17. They're at home. Let's see, Ohio State traveling to East Lansing, who's coming off of a big win over Northwestern. We do not know who's playing for Ohio State. We don't know because of the COVID situation. They had COVID issues. Don't know who all that is affected. We will find out, of course, when they take the field. Auburn, let's see, that's Texas A&M at Auburn. That would be nice to see them lose because they're one of the teams that's in front of Indiana in the college football playoffs, and it's going to take a loss. It's going to take a loss by a Texas A&M for an Indiana to have a shot of being in the college football playoffs if they get into the Big Ten championship. But you're going to have a Texas A&M get knocked out because they're sitting at number 5. Let's see, TCU, Oklahoma State, that's not much. Notre Dame, 9-0. They're at home against Syracuse. That'll be no problem for them, Vernell. Iowa, Illinois, this should be all right. Indiana, Wisconsin, that's the game I'll be watching and looking forward to. 3:30 tomorrow. Can't wait, man. I swear, I think Indiana wins that game outright.
I did too. I think, like I said, with Wisconsin, they haven't played enough games to create a momentum for this year. I think they're playing inspired football right now.
Baylor's at Oklahoma, another one of those 6-2 teams that I talked about, sitting at number 11 ridiculously. I don't know how any Big 12 team could sit anywhere with 2 losses, but they've got 2 of them in front of it. You've got 2 Big 12 teams with 2 losses in front of Indiana. That just continues to show it's about what's on your chest sometimes. They got to earn it. They'll earn it. Oregon, they're traveling to California. Clemson to Virginia Tech, and BYU. Oh, yeah, BYU, Coastal Carolina. How about this matchup of the underdogs? BYU is number 13, Coastal Carolina 18, both undefeated at 9-0. There's your clash, man. There's the fight that's the little guy trying to get into the college football playoffs. BYU has to win this game or they are just like done. And even if Coastal Carolina wins the game, it elevates them a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be a fun game to watch. So there's that.
Yeah, I think that'll be a real fun game to watch. I've been keeping tabs of Coastal Carolina, and I love the story, man. And it's always fun to watch the underdog have a great year. So I'll be rooting for Coastal Carolina for sure.
Earlier in this week, Kirk Herbstreit got into a little bit of trouble. He's a former Ohio State Buckeye, of course, and he's on College Game Day. But he said what all of us, I said this 2 weeks ago, talking about Jim Harbaugh and Michigan, and wouldn't they love to stick it to Ryan Day and Ohio State on the way out and not play the game? And Kirk Herbstreit said something kind of similar the same way. And boy, he got ripped though for doing it. The Michigan AD got all into it, but of course I think that's more of a Michigan Ohio State thing than anything.
Yeah. That's a real rivalry right there. They don't like each other at all, especially on the football side. So. He
slammed her. I would play it, but you guys won't be able to hear it from my end. But yeah, it's kind of funny when you get the schools getting at it. But I miss that stuff, man. I miss Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler and Bob Knight and Gene Cady. I miss that. The Ludu, all those characters, man. I mean, we don't have any characters. The only character in the Big Ten thing, see, Izzo's great. You know, he can be good and he's a veteran, but there's just not the characters from the game, man. They're just not there right now.
It's not the same like it used to be. You know, even the rivalry games aren't quite as bitter, I guess you could say, as they used to be. You know, when you played Purdue, man, you wanted to beat them by any means necessary. You know, and even the Kentucky game and the Duke, North Carolina it's just, when you go back in history of these rivalries, there's just always, these different events, these different people that are always kind of the warring factions. And, you just, like you say, you don't see that much anymore, man. And that's something that you definitely miss when it comes to those rivalry games.
It's funny you say that because I've been thinking that and it was more about Indiana Purdue basketball. Now, of course, Purdue's won the last 6 straight, and you have to have some equality there for the rivalry. And this is a long-standing thing, so it's not like that can be erased in 6 games. But it's like the Kentucky thing. Indiana started having less and less success against Kentucky, and they grew tired of it and then went and whined. Calipari went and whined and got away. But where are the rivalries going? I don't know that rivalry to the players means as much as it did 5 years ago, much less 10 years ago. I know it does to the fans. The fans are the same. To these players, I'm not sure I see and feel that today like I did 5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, even, I'll speak for Champaign, even the high school rivalries, when I was at Champaign Central, we played Champaign Centennial, and those games would be packed. It'd be just, I had family members on the other team, but during that little game, we hated each other. It was just a different kind of competitive nature that we had. I still see that out of the next generation. They don't. It's not a bad thing, but it's just that competitive nature between my school and your school is not there anymore. And it's, I think that's kind of hurt the game a little bit too.
Yeah, and I know that the goal is to always everybody be nice to everybody, and I say that's one of the things I say every day: do something nice for everybody, and that's okay. But you can be competitive and battle. And it'd be a competitive battle. And I think there's too many people that are, let's give them all. It's like to give everybody a trophy. No, you don't get a trophy. That's not real life, man. That's not how real life is. They're just not handing out trophies to everybody unless you go live in some socialist society. It's just not real life. And I don't know why they insist that carries over to sports, because sports is one of the true indications of life. I mean, it's kind of a representation of what you do when you go out into it. But being nicer is okay, but they're just taking it way too far. They're trying to take out every bit of that, and I think it's just pointless. But that's that generation, and that's what they want. That's what they're going to get. Because no one can control that. We, the older people, as you go on, you got no control over that. It's theirs to do what they want to with it.
And it's okay to be nice, but you can be competitive at the same time. There's a fine line. I mean, you guys, a lot of the guys in the Big Ten, whether it's Draymond, whether it's anyone, I'm talking trash. I'm talking trash to you during this game. We have to beat you. I have to get the competitive edge over you. As soon as the game's over, whether I won or you won, man, let's go hang out afterwards. Let's grab a milkshake or a beer or whatever. You know what I mean? That doesn't, you can still be nice, but when you're in those lines, it has to be business, strictly business. And for me and a couple of other guys of our generation, we would do whatever it took to win and get that competitive edge. And you just don't see that anymore. And I don't know if we ever go back to that. Maybe we don't. Maybe we do. But that's something that's definitely missed in the game. That kind of nastiness that some of the players used to have.
You think back to some of the great IU players that are so beloved. The Michael Lewises, those guys that were so tough, and just the Verdell Jones, the AJ Guytons. But no, seriously, it's and there's a reason. It's because of that. And it's just but we'll see how it goes on. But man, it's been a fun day as always, and look forward next week to getting AJ back on so we can talk about his new baby, and then we can talk about you guys not knowing what was going on and just the funniness of all of it. But let's see. Bill or Tim said on the text line, if they change having the 6 wins for the Big Ten championship, then they also should drop one game. You can drop their loss. Yeah, that would be good. That'd be nice as well. But hopefully they'll just take care of business. We appreciate everybody joining us. As always, Riddell, of course, sits in with us each Friday. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Can't thank him enough, as well as also Indiana Hoosiers taking on Wisconsin tomorrow, and hopefully their big home of victory. And we're talking about the Hoosiers making it into the top 10 of the college football playoffs next week, Riddell.
Yeah, I think, man, you win tomorrow, and the chance is there. You know, that's all you want is to be in a conversation, and have a chance. Once you get there, anything can happen.
All right, it's going to wrap it up for today here at the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Appreciate everybody again, and we'll see you on Monday. Until then, do something nice for somebody. Please make sure you wear your mask. And until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.